Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and today's conversation is one many people are quietly anxious about, even if they don't say it out loud. The fear of being replaced by AI, not just in jobs, but replaced in relevance, in value, in identity. If you are a founder wondering if your skills will still matter, if you are an employee watching AI automate parts of your role, or if you are simply trying to keep up without feeling overwhelmed, this episode is for you, listeners. And let me tell you, my guest today, he's someone who has been thinking about AI long before it became a daily headline. He started working with AI over 30 years ago, back when most people, including me, we were still learning how to use email. Yeah. He studied computer linguistics, built AI systems as early as 2001. He founded his own business in 2011 and has spoken to over 250,000 people across 5 continents. He is also the author of 6 books on AI, including The Single Handed Unicorn, which is an Amazon bestseller featured by Forbes, who called him a tech visionary. And listeners, he has seen multiple waves of hype, fear, and disappointment. So today, we are not here for slogans or comfort statements. We are here for clarity. So let's talk honestly about AI, what AI will change, what it will not, and what humans may need to let go of. So listeners, meet my incredible guest, Tim Cortinovis. So, Tim, welcome.
Hello, Santa. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course, of course. Tim, I mean, 30 years ago, my goodness. Now, people, we all think that, it came just, what, 4 years back. Like the first time anyone like publicly heard about AI was, I guess, back in 2022. But you started working on AI like 30 years back. So let's get to the core here, and let's start with the fear component, because when people say that I'm scared AI will replace me, what do you think they're actually afraid of losing?
I think they're actually fearing the unknown. They fear what they don't know and maybe not understand. I see a lot of buzz around AI these days and a lot of hype, and a lot of this hype is created by the AI companies themselves to gain more traction and to gain more visibility. Of course, I'll understand them totally. If I had an AI company, I would maybe do the same and talk about risks and make it a lot bigger than it actually is. I'm not undervaluating AI. I've seen there's huge progresses in the last decades in the field, and I think we can achieve a ton more of things using AI, but
Mm.
this replacement of us as humans, as some people, and including, for instance, Elon Musk or Sam Altman, this won't happen. We've seen a robotics revolution for the last 40 years, and still there's no massive unemployment globally, and we're creating more new jobs than we are losing. There will be a shift, definitely, but
Mhm.
not every one of us will be replaced. As yeah, we can go in details in this discussion, and I'm more than happy to talk about this.
Absolutely. I mean, I would love for our listeners to uh, be aware of this, because I think more than just the employment part, the fear is more about identity here as well. And if that is the case here, Tim, one question that comes to my mind, does this suggest that AI is or can expose something fragile in how we define human worth?
Maybe, yeah. Of course, it's a question of definition, and I see a lot of people uh, achieving huge results using AI, and I call this
Mm.
the co-creation. I think it's not whether humans or AI, it's both of them, and we can, both of us, we as humans and the AIs, can bring to the table really valuable knowledge and capabilities. And for instance, the core point for me is the AI lacks totally their own goals and their own driving values and impetus in them. And
Mm.
we as humans, we have this. We have the wish to create something, to bring topics forward and to change the world to the better. And the AI lacks totally this inner goal. And if we come to the table and the AI brings its capability of being very fast and combining things very fast and reasoning very fast, and we as humans, as creators, and with the idea of creating a better world, co-creation is a very good thing. And if we change the definition of our work, and if we go more in that direction, it is very helpful. I have an example for you. Maybe if you're a photographer, then
Mm.
you might fear of losing your job to Midjourney or OpenAI image creation. But the thing is, if you define yourself as a person that handles a camera and that knows when and how to click on a button to create an image, okay, then you might be in danger of losing your job or your position. But if you define yourself as the person knowing how to handle images and knowing how to communicate via images, and about atmospheres in an image and so on, then you're in a definitely stronger position than defining yourself just as somebody handling the camera.
Hmm. So it's more about the uniqueness and the fact that, that the diversity, or you know every human has their different skills, way of looking at things. I think that's what I think, is something that, this apparently the fear of AI is definitely going to expose.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. Yes, it's and also in my case, it's so
Mm.
I'm working right now on an avatar to replace me on stage or
Yeah.
in a virtual keynote, and
Mhm.
I would love to accomplish this task. And I define myself as somebody translating what is happening in tech and translating this to all humans or to business owners or to executives. And in that role, I can use an avatar for me to to spell out the message. And I don't need myself being on the stage. This is not my definition. And so, yes, we have to think about what is the value we are providing. And this is a lot, and there are a lot of human capabilities that drive a lot of value.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And
And if we do so, if I may add something more here, if
yeah.
we do so, we might understand that AI is the lever for us to not only accomplish more. I think efficiency is such. I personally don't like the word efficiency. This is not the goal here. The idea is to to accomplish more in a sense of being more satisfied and maybe increase the value I have. And
Mm.
I notice this myself. I'm working in my company for the last 6 years massively using AI and AI agents. And I see right now it feels like working with inline skates on my feet. And I can now accomplish a task in about 1 hour that prior to this massive application of AI took me, let's say, 2 days. And the results of my work are much better than before. So I'm not only faster, but I can accomplish more, better, faster, and it feels really, yeah, it feels so easy and so airy and uh, yeah, I think this is the point, that we embrace these capabilities, and I don't think we have to understand we this also, I don't like this saying in the internet, you won't be replaced by somebody, and you won't be replaced by the AI, but by somebody who knows how to handle the AI.
Yeah.
I don't think either this is true. Um,
Yeah.
I think if you embrace this chances, you don't have to go very in deep into the technology as, and this is also one of the advantages we see right now, the interfaces are getting so easy that you don't need higher education or even studies to handle the easiest AI. You just have to use it like any tool. And I think if you're able to open your computer or use your smartphone, your cell phone, you're able to use AI to your advantage. You don't have to be an expert in large language models, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fact. That's a fact. And this is a very interesting part of the conversation because that is something that, I've been hearing for such a long time. Okay. AI is not going to replace you, but somebody who knows how to use AI will replace you. But then I believe contrary to what as a um uh, as humanity or talk about generations, who saw how computers came, how internet was introduced. I mean, there have been specializations based on that. But then at the same time, it also created new jobs and new fields of studies. I think AI, everybody at least, has some iota of an idea about it. Maybe it's in form of fear or it's in form of, boasting the fact that it's going to increase efficiency. Because, like we have been taught, many of us have been taught, maybe sometimes subtly, that our values tied to how useful or efficient we are. So I think this is a very interesting perspective that you share today, Tim, with our listeners. And my next question is kind of connected to it because right now, everywhere, almost the same messages. Just learn AI tools, you'll be fine. And do you think this advice is realistic or is it oversimplifying the problem here?
Yeah, it is oversimplifying the problem. As I just mentioned, the interface is getting so easy, and the saying, it is the same. It is as ridiculous as saying you won't be replaced by a smartphone, but by somebody who knows how to handle a smartphone. Everybody knows how to handle a smartphone, so this is not the problem. I think the core here is you have to have the ability to adapt to change, and you have to be willing to change and to know when it's the time to change. As in the example with the photographer, you have to know when it is time to change something in your job. And of course, there will be shifts, no doubt about this. Just imagine some 100 years ago, if you made a phone call from New York to Boston or from Mumbai to New Delhi, you needed an operator, a human operator, and the phone call took some 30 minutes to put through, and you had to wait for your call to be established or the line to be established. And this was changed from 1920 to 1960, when the last human operators were laid off, and tens of thousands of jobs were lost. But I surely think, I'm totally convinced that nobody of us and nobody of the listeners wants to go back in that era. And now we can establish a video call from Singapore to Sydney in an instant. And this is how we live today, and nobody wants to go back. So yes, there are changes, and there are all these uh, operators, these manual operators had to search for new jobs. So you don't need that understanding of AI tools, but you have to be you have to be willing to change in your job and to embrace that change and look for new opportunities that certainly will arise. For instance, your role as a podcast host, it didn't exist some 15 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. That's true. Even I was not aware because we had we still have but radio jockeys or TV hosts. But now, I mean, it's really surprising to see that not for me, but at least people who could be in the older generations or people who haven't been much exposed to what is happening right now, like content creation, internet becoming as a legit, a valid, channel of earning money. I think that is something is very very interesting, and uh, that is where I think uh, the nimbleness and how quickly we can pivot or um, you know uh, how quickly we can move ourselves or at least update ourselves to what is happening right now. I think that what defines or is the main essence here.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, and also what is more the question: how can we leverage what is accessible right now? And yeah, you don't have to understand the tools, but I think you have to know when to leverage them.
Mm, yeah. Yes, that is also very important.
Yeah. So,
When to let.
and when we're still in the very early, or no, better said, I see a huge division right now between people using tools to make it easier for them to work, and and on the other hand, people ignoring tools and still working the old way. And I think this
Mhm.
is harder than it had to be.
Like right now, there are two extremes. Like people who are using AI for everything, even writing text messages and emails sometimes, and then there are people who are not even aware about ChatGPT, or maybe they are aware but they're not using it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's it.
and one more, I think it's kind of a bit of a popular narrative here, Tim, that AI will free humans to focus on more meaningful and creative work. Of course, it is eliminating the redundant tasks here, and it can carve out more time, more freedom for you to think creatively. But then history shows that technology does not automatically, like it's the if we try to quantify here, it's not directly proportional to more meaningful work. So why should this time be any different than that?
Yeah, that is a good question. And legacy enterprises tend to hand over manual tasks or tedious tasks, let's put it like this, to their teams without thinking if these tasks are really necessary. So I've seen large corporations just putting work into their teams in a not so smart way. And
Mm.
maybe you're right, and we have to be very careful. And it's not automatically that you are freed to do more creative work. And yes, there are some companies that did not understand this, and they're laying off people. But I think the smart companies use this power to empower their people and to free the work for them. And it's on both sides. Of course, companies are in charge to do so, but as well, you in a corporate job, um, you have to you have the obligation nearly to ask for this and to when you know. But I think we're heading to this direction. Uh, the Gen Z knows that there are tools that could do the work for them, and they will refuse to work for employers that don't offer these tools to them, and they still ask them to do tasks in a way that is so outdated that it doesn't free them. So I think we in corporate jobs and of course as entrepreneurs overall have the obligation to look how can we work smarter, but also the corporations have to think about how we can organize work in a smarter way that leaves more free capacity to creativity.
Hmm. And I think this also comes down to the leadership aspect here, because you speak to leaders, speak to organizations around the world.
Mm.
Um, do you think leaders are being honest about how disruptive AI could be to roles and careers?
Yes, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes. And in leadership, there's a there's a big opportunity here, and of course also the obligation. Leaders have to be the role model. Nowadays, I see lots of leaders and executives using AI, but a little bit this kind of below the table, and they're coming out with brilliant results, and they're not talking openly about having used AI, as they fear that they feel a little bit of shame, and they think this is a shortcut, and they're not allowed to take the shortcut. And so they don't talk openly about having used AI tools. And I think it should be the other way around. If you're heading and if you're wanting an AI driven organization, you should, as a leader, as a C-level executive or in any of these roles, you should talk about openly how great it is to use AI and to lead with a role model. And of course, you have to be careful. There was this huge mistake by Deloitte in Australia, and they had to give back to the Australian government nearly $500 million. Uh, um, dollars, I think, for having prepared a government study with AI, and that had led to massive fails information, and that was not a good case. But if you have the guardrails in place, you should, as a leader, you should be the role model for your teams, and you should use AI in that position. And maybe leaders are not focusing on how to empower their teams. They're focusing more how to lay off more people. But as I said, I think a really smart company that aims to growth, and that aims to think much bigger than before is empowering their people using these technologies.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think this is definitely going to be, right now, we are going to gradually see a beginning of a different type of leadership here. Because not only we will be talking about intuition or emotional intelligence or having a conscious leader here, but also, conscious in the way that how they can go ahead along with the people maybe you are working with them or working for them in this kind of superficially created rat race in AI. I think what I meant to say is that there is something dangerous about forced optimism. Like, if the leaders, like when people are told not to worry, they would stop preparing, or when um, the the fact that, okay, there is AI, okay, let's lay off 100 people, 200 people at once.
Yeah,
I
that's definitely that's so true. False optimism is not good here, and no, you don't just can't close your eyes, and no, definitely not. You're right.
Yeah. And let me also ask something. It can be a bit uncomfortable, Tim, here, that if AI can outperform humans in logic or pattern recognition, um, speed, even creativity, why should businesses choose humans at all, like beyond ethics or regulation? Like, we can go back to that example of photographer that you gave, but yeah.
Yeah, because it still fails a lot, and AI still fails a lot and hallucinates, and it has no. Uh, I've observed this a lot in agentic systems also. The AI produces totally good looking results, but they're totally wrong and they're not heading into the right direction. So we need human common sense. And in the AI, there is no common sense. There is maybe some creativity, and you can produce some polished texts and images and videos, but it lacks totally this common sense. And a lot of times we have to make some decisions, and we need a very strongly common sense there. I'm working a lot with AI for strategic decisions, and I'm talking to leaders about how to use AI to mirror your thoughts and to be a companion in your strategic decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just put 100% their answers into the real world. You have always to pass these answers through your common sense filter, and a lot of times the AI fails there. And I'm convinced an organization that only works with AI and without humans with their common sense will fail.
Hmm. Hmm. And if customers eventually trust AI to more than humans, because it is faster or more accurate, um, does that human advantage disappear?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe one day. I'm not quite sure what is happening right now, and I
Mhm.
see lots of dangers in there. Um, AI is getting more and more as a companion, as an assistant to us. It is
Hmm.
all around us. And as I said, I use it in strategic decisions and also in sales, for instance. And we see the AI noticing all our steps and everything we do and everything we communicate, and then proposing us the next best action and the next best step to do. And we're following it. And a lot of times this is a good idea. Sometimes it may not. As it's the same with driving or the navigation system. You ask Google Maps for the best way, but you still have to have your eyes on the road, and the road may be closed because the bridge is just in works, and there is no bridge across the river. And there had been people driving just with their eyes on Google Maps and falling into the river. Yes, this happened, and this will happen also to us if we just trust the AI suggestions for our next best action. And I see also some people using these AI companions in their emotional life. This is really, really dangerous because, of course, it seems to be a good companion as it is always on your side and knowing what you have said some 2 weeks ago, but it has no common sense and it won't give you advice that contradicts you sometimes. And sometimes you need a friend or a business partner saying, "Oh, no, Tim, this is totally ridiculous what you're planning. Don't do this and stop
Mm.
doing this." And the AI won't. It will just say to you, "Yeah, yeah, go in that direction. You're so marvelous."
That's true. No, that's true. I mean, at least I can see that is absolutely true. And I think this is where I think the role of humans, becomes important. And I think the real tension here, like, because we are at the end of the conversation, I mean, it's safe to say that the real tension is not about saving jobs, but about redefining what humans are actually responsible for.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a very good summary of what we've talked about. Yeah.
Super. Tim, any last message that you would like to share with our listeners, like before we wrap up?
Yeah, stay curious. That's all I want to say. Stay curious and stay hungry. What is happening there? And try something out or leave it, but don't ignore it and don't ignore it out of fear. Thank you.
Mm. Let's see, that's a very positive and very realistic, very pragmatic way to conclude this conversation, listeners. And Tim, if our listeners they would like to connect with you further, what would be the easiest medium?
The easiest medium would be LinkedIn. I'm hanging around there a lot on LinkedIn, sometimes on Instagram as well, and on both platforms you will find me with my name Tim Cortinovis. It's spelled with a C, Cortinovis, and I've also a newsletter. It is very sales focused. So, how to leverage in your business, in your sales AI. This is called the Sales Accelerator. And if you subscribe, you receive for free every week new ideas how to use AI agents in business. So, I would love to see you there.
That's amazing. Listeners, as you all know, what I'm going to do is have all the links, all the details mentioned so that you can reach out to Tim and connect with him, share your thoughts and opinions about this conversation, and also check out his work, his newsletter, and all the wisdom that he's sharing. And I think this conversation it does not offer us easy comfort, but then it feels appropriate because AI it's not simply a tool; it is a force that challenges how we define value, effort, and meaning. So the fear of being replaced is not irrational, but then it may be incomplete. Because I think here's a deeper question, listeners. If efficiency is no longer our edge, what is? So for anyone who is sitting with anxiety right now, maybe the next step is not learning another tool. Maybe it is questioning the story you were told about what makes you valuable. And Tim, thank you so much for bringing clarity, bringing some really surprising insights and long term perspective. It's a very, very important and I believe emotional topic. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to talking to you, Sana.
And listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of This Blend. And until next time, this is your host, Sana, and I'll catch you in the next episode. As Tim says, stay curious.